my buddy Jim Gaffigan's like, we're all kind of doing the same special over and over again.
My shows will be about being Chinesey, bit of dating, whether or not I've lost or gained weight that year.
Yeah, because I could literally list me being married with my children, whether or not I gained weight or lost weight this year.
And being Chinese.
And being Chinese.
Yeah.
This is What a Joke
with Tom Papa and Fortune Feimster
on Netflix is a Joke Radio.
Congratulations on your special. It's really, really great.
Oh, thanks. Did you watch it?
I did watch it. It's very
amazing.
funny. Yeah.
Thanks so much, man. That means a lot.
It's right up my alley. It's a treat when you get to see something that is seemingly made for you.
Wow, that's high praise indeed. I really appreciate it, Tom. Yeah, I've never been a stand-up who's like push jokes onto people. I either works or it doesn't, you know.
And it seemed like it was very timely in an evergreen kind of way. Like I've seen a couple of people like turn some stuff out in the middle of the pandemic or just post-pandemic, and you could tell like this isn't going to have a big shelf life. But yours, but you did a good job of
thanks, man,
addressing it. But I think it's going to last.
I really appreciate you saying that. That is exactly the kind of detailed observation that I love to talk to other comics about, because that was exactly my thinking at the time. Was like, I can't not talk about it, but I also want people to be able to enjoy this special in 6 years when we'll be suffering from a whole different pandemic, I imagine. They won't even remember what this one was like.
Right, I can't wait.
You know, I mean, if you look at, I always think of graphs. I studied engineering. I always think of graphs. And if you think of like the stories, like they're big waves, and you can talk about those for a long time. But if you zoom in, there's all these little waves, right? And like there are specific stories within the pandemic which are gone. They're the little waves. They're gone in a week. You know, we've had some crazy stories here that I feel sorry for people who like wrote jokes about running out of toilet paper. Because like for now we're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I forgot about the whole toilet paper thing.
Yeah. The Tiger King.
Oh yeah, of course. Imagine someone out there's written like a killer hour about Tiger King and having not enough toilet paper. And I was just trying to flog it like, guys, remember? Yeah. Guys? The thing we were told to look out for were bots and hackers and Russians. And then we found out none of them knew how to tick a box that says I'm not a robot, and that seemed to solve the problem for some reason. But now, with the coronavirus, now threat is the most abstract it's ever been. Now threat is like a surface. Be careful of a surface, everyone. No, you should be fine as long as you steer clear of them surfaces. They'll get you. Awful to find this out. Home alone, just watching the news, it's like, oh shit, surfaces. I had a quick scan of my flat. Fucking surfaces everywhere. Death trap, that place. Didn't realize I was living in Saw 3.
How do you approach your hours, your specials, your longer sets? Because and did it change with this crazy year? Because I know like you had real success at the Edinburgh Festival, and it seems like it's a little bit of a slightly different approach than the way the US comics go at it.
Yeah, in the Edinburgh Festival system that we have in the UK, every comedian's work cycle is built around it. So every year you come up with a new hour, and the Edinburgh Festival is sort of always kind of rewarded thematic strength. Mm-hmm. So comics who have a show about a thing or about a story that comes around at the end, they're obsessed with it. Obsessed.
That's true.
I've always had more of a, I guess, what you could call an American approach, in that I've just always loved pure stand-up, and I've just come up with bits and then another bit and then another bit, and then I squish them all together.
Well, I mean, we're just getting to know each other, and I don't want to profess to be your manager or anything, but if you could have something really, if you could create some kind of horrible story about your childhood, or some kind of really vile sexual exploits, I think you could probably change all that.
Yeah. Nothing scandalous enough has happened. I've not led an interesting enough life, basically, to come up with this amazing, like, boundary pushing hour.
Yeah. That's how I always feel. All you need is like, maybe just do your act. It's very funny and thoughtful. And if you just have a cigarette hanging from your lip, maybe the critics at the festivals will be like, Wang's a little edgy this year.
I mean, he is kicked out of his venue because it's illegal to smoke indoors, but yeah.
So did you have what, I know you were joking about it, but getting a little of the pandemic racism slipping through the window. Was it similar to the stories that we had here in the States? Because it did get a little nasty for a bit here.
I think the States has a much larger East Asian community than the UK, so I think there were always going to be more stories there. But yeah, I mean, there've been some pretty nasty. There's been some pretty nasty stuff in the UK as well. I like right before the first lockdown, I was walking like right outside my house, and a guy saw me and just went, "Corona," and like walked away, like tried to get away from me, like I had it on me,
Right.
He seemed like a bit odd as well,
Sure.
but also a rude thing to say. But that's the worst thing I got. I kind of felt like while I was in that first lockdown, sat at home, I was just kind of thinking like it's kind of lucky that this age of intensified racism has coincided with an age where all the racists have to stay at home. And I just sort of imagine all these racist people in their houses just like, I want to hit one of those Chinese people, but I can't leave my house.
Disappearing out of their windows. I think there's a Jew over there. If only I could mingle.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to like order a takeaway and hope the guy who delivers it is Jewish, I guess. Look, we're just trying to catch up on all those fights we missed out on in the lockdown. Think about all the fights that didn't happen for a year. We got a lot of catching up to do.
Really
I say
do.
those people are real patriots, actually, now think about it. I think they're the good ones.
I'm a mixed race fella, as the name Phil Wang might suggest. At some point here, a cultural compromise was made. Yes, well, my father is a Chinese Malaysian, hence the Wang, and the rest of my body. My father is Chinese Malaysian, but my mother is normal. So don't worry. Got some sour cream in that chili. Didn't want you to burn your tongue on that hot Wang, so Mama brought the milk.
2018, I was in New York, and I went to Yankee Stadium. There was one bit which I didn't know was legal in baseball, where the pitcher, instead of throwing it towards the batter, just threw it to one of the field guys. And me and the person I'd gone with was so shocked by this, we audibly screamed.
No.
we just didn't know that was possible.
What were you doing in New York in 2018?
I was on holiday. I just went there for a week with someone I was sort of dating at the time. It's a great way to figure out if two people are compatible, to go to New York, and it turned out we were not.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you want to save a load of time, go to New York.
How early in the trip did you?
Maybe the second of 10 days.
Did you do stand-up in New York?
I have done some. It's funny doing stand-up in America. People are just so enthusiastic. Americans are just like, they're happy when something goes well. The most positive thing a British person will say is, that was all right, actually. That's like, that was all right, actually. So they went in expecting not to like it and were surprised that the thing they specifically went to laugh made them laugh. Whereas in the States, they come in already like, yeah, here we go.
You killed.
Yeah. What is weird is like getting applauses and stuff, because it kind of messes up my rhythm. So I go like, so I want to start my next bit, and there's like an applause, and people are like, woo, yeah. And I'm just like, right, okay.
What does Papa like?
Not just hair, nor Canada.
What does Papa like?
Shaking my provocative little hips. No. All right, let's get right to it.
Tom Papa likes being barefoot.
I say Tom does not like being barefoot. He doesn't walk around his house barefoot very much because he was raised right.
Well, except that he was raised right on the Jersey Shore. I feel like he likes no shoes.
He does read these articles about getting in touch with nature and how that's beneficial to your feet. he's open to being barefoot in those situations and can see the benefit.
You all make good points. I think Fortune is actually correct, though. Even though I will be in those situations, there's always a shoe right there at the ready. I'm wearing them right now.
Yeah.
Does Papa like Canadian rapper Drake?
That's a funny one.
I think he's actually a fan of Drake from Degrassi, The Next Generation, which he watched with his daughters.
I'm going to say Tom is not super familiar with Drake's work because he's more into the less mainstream hip-hop artists, and I think Drake might be a little bit too mainstream for him.
I think he's indifferent about Drake. I don't think he thinks about Drake. I don't think he's purposely going to play Drake.
Again, Fortune is more on the nose than anybody else. Yeah.